Okay, so it's been around a month and a half since Marvel Rivals has been released. And I think anyone can tell and can see that this game has been a huge success. 20 million players and growing. The other day there was 500,000 concurrent Steam players. You know, that's like #1 at Steam at that point. It's basically just breaking a lot of records, and it's just generally well received by the public. The only thing that people kind of complain about when it comes to Marvel Rivals, and I mean like a genuine complaint about it, is only just optimization. But besides that, it's a pretty solid game, most people would say. And obviously, since Marvel Rivals is a hero shooter, it's by default going to be compared to Overwatch. And for the most part, people have been saying that like, yo, Marvel Rivals is generally just so better than Overwatch, which is obviously their own opinion. And I have personally played Marvel Rivals quite a bit, and I really enjoy the game. For me, besides optimization, this game is super duper fun. But will that fun last? It's a pretty controversial question, but I think it's a valid question to ask. It's a weird thing to say, I know, considering that, you know, I did play the game, well, still am playing the game, and you know, I did have fun with the game. So why would I say something like that? And I'm gonna get into basically all of that and probably a lot more in a sec. Hey, hello, stuff, whatever. It's your new boy Les, and welcome to a new video. And if you're new, welcome to the channel. So like I said before, Marvel Rivals is a huge success. It's overall just been received well by just people in gaming. But I guess my question that I kind of want to start off with is, will it forever be well received? Now, this example might not be the best because it was so many years ago, but when Overwatch came out in 2016, it's 2025 now, or if we're just gonna count only 2024, then we'll say the game only released 8 years ago. It's been 8 years since Overwatch has released, and in the year of Overwatch, it was hype. People really enjoyed it. People liked it. People liked the diversity. People liked the gameplay. People basically liked everything about Overwatch. Damn, it even won Game of the Year that year. It was that good of a live service, you know, multiplayer hero shooter at the time. It was probably one of the first at its time. Like I said, one of, because I know that there's TF2 and there's Paladins. But Overwatch was really the hammer to hit the nail for hero shooters at the time. Like, damn, a lot of people liked Overwatch. And now here we are 8 years later, obviously with Overwatch 2. You can debate that if they're even comparable. You know, Overwatch 2 came and, you know, a lot of people dunk on it. I mean, damn, there's so much hate for Overwatch 2, generally speaking. But I guess for the sake of what I'm gonna try and play devil's advocate for in terms of what I'm trying to argue, I'm gonna say that Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2 are going to be Overwatch in terms of just overall. Like, if I'm describing Overwatch, I'm describing both 1 and 2, because to be honest with you, there isn't a super big difference between Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2. And you understand that there isn't a big difference if you watched my video concerning the stuff that we found out from Jason Schreier, etc, etc. I do want to say that I want Marvel Rivals to continue succeeding. I don't want it to be 6 months later or a year later where now people are saying, wow, Marvel Rivals sucks because of balancing issues and this, that, and the third, and hey, this character's OP, but they can't be overpowered, but they can't be nerfed to a certain point where they're just mid. I don't want that happening with Marvel Rivals. I wish the best for Marvel Rivals, honestly. Like, just because I mainly play Overwatch, as you see on my channel, that doesn't mean that I don't want other games within the genre to exist or succeed. I think Marvel Rivals, you know, it's goated. I like it a lot. I think the hero shooter genre needed a game, and just in general just needs more games, you know, to compete within the space. Because like how other people said, it's good to have competitors within the space. Damn, it might even push, you know, Overwatch 2 to finally make a name for itself and make some much needed changes that need to be made. Maybe even take some inspiration from Marvel Rivals 2 with future balance updates and future whatevers. Overall, I'm hoping for the best with Marvel Rivals and the story. But people are like giving the game its accolades and this, that, and the third, and just, I think, overall overglazing. And I'm not saying that the game shouldn't get its accolades. There's definitely some great things that the game is doing right now. But right now, I think that the game is doing as well as it's doing. But the momentum that we're currently seeing with Marvel Rivals now is not the same momentum we're going to see 6 months later, and I think that's almost healthy. Like, one of the things I think is super duper cool and crazy is how they dropped the 4 Fantastic Four characters, you know, at the same time essentially, or they're going to drop, or they've dropped, I'm not sure. The time of this recording is the 14th of January. I know that 2 of the Fantastic Four characters have dropped. I haven't seen anything with the other 2, but apparently there's supposed to be more. But we got the Invisible Woman and we have the Stretchy Guy. So we're seeing stuff like that. Like, Marvel Rivals already has such a stacked roster that it's so unhealthy to think that every season or 2 seasons or X amount of seasons, they're gonna drop bundles of characters instead of just singular ones. And the reason why I say it's unhealthy, because obvious #1 thing, balancing. If you're dropping a bunch of people at the same time, balancing may not be as quick, mainly because because there's so many people to consider at the same time. Because let's say that 3 out of the 4 people that they dropped in one season are broken. That's going to take a longer time to, you know, fix and adjust for the game. Not to say that it's not possible, but I think it'll definitely add to some level of difficulty and time. So then we'd see balance patches about those sort of characters, you know, a month later, for example, depending obviously on how severely broken they are. Number 2, it's just overwhelming. Like if a season drops with like 2 to 4 characters at a time, it is going to be overwhelming to like learn their strengths and weaknesses. It is going to be difficult to learn, and I think that even just for the casual player base, it would be just overwhelming to have that, you know what I mean? Number 3, I think it's unsustainable, and I know it sounds weird considering how big the Marvel universe is, but like I said, I think it's super duper unsustainable. Like recently I heard that like League of Legends has like above 100 characters, which is not an insane amount of characters to have in a video game considering how long League of Legends has existed. But if you got onto League today, it'd be definitely super duper hard to learn considering the amount of characters that there are, like what counters them, and you know how to play against them. It's pretty overwhelming if you get into League. Not to say that you can't, but you know, it's overwhelming. Now obviously the Marvel Rivals peeps are doing this mainly because they want to keep the momentum with the game going, which is super duper great. And also referencing back the overglazing, the game hasn't even been out for like 6 months. It's been a month and almost a half at this point that Marvel Rivals has been out, and people are like saying some crazy stuff about it. And I'm saying crazy in the sense of just degrading Overwatch, saying it's one of the best of the best and such whatever. And I'm not going to disagree with some of those points from a personal standpoint, but I think overall we should just kind of calm down a little bit because the game has been out for only a month and a half. And I believe like, but after a certain amount of time, I think there's going to be, well, not that there isn't an established meta, obviously there is an established meta, but I think we're going to get to that point where there's people that, you know, there's like an established meta and it's like a really hardcore meta and people are so very good at the game. The skill has, you know, built up, and you know, balancing is going to be much harder. People are going to realize a lot more what's broken, what's not broken. I mean, obviously like right now techs are coming out, sure, but the game's only been out for a month and a half. But like I said, I do think that it's very much in a honeymoon phase where, you know, we're all still very new to the game, because obviously people have played it longer for hours and can probably give a more insightful point in terms of this. But I still think that we are very much in a honeymoon phase, and it will wear off once people start, you know, actually tryharding. I mean, not to say that people aren't tryharding, but you know, people are obviously going to progressively get good. A lot of streamers and a lot of, I mean, there's no pros. What the hell? A lot of streamers have described that the skill ceiling for this game is very high and very distinct in terms of low and, you know, high skill. So I think that's going to affect us, you know, come, I want to say a year, 2 years, after a substantial amount of time. That's what I personally think. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, just, you know, point out how flawed my point could potentially be, or where this point could potentially come from. But there is a little part of me that does kind of wish that Marvel Rivals will fail in similar ways that Overwatch has, which is kind of a negative thing to feel, right? And I think that the reason why I feel that way just a little bit is mainly because of how people are using Marvel Rivals to dunk on Overwatch. I'm not gonna lie, it has been annoying that people can't just enjoy Marvel Rivals as is without comparing it to Overwatch and say like how Overwatch is in comparison to Marvel Rivals or something like that. So some of the points that I probably said before and now, you know, are probably connected to that feeling, but I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible when I say this. Like I said, I think it's very much a honeymoon phase. It's gonna kind of wear off the same way that Overwatch has. Not to say that people are gonna hate it, but it is gonna wear off like that. People are gonna probably find Marvel Rivals boring. I doubt that Marvel Rivals will go in the direction of a PvE. I'm gonna be honest with you, they didn't hint at anything like that at all. Not to say that it's not possible with the way that the game is set up right now, but honestly, they should just ride the wave that they have right now for a few years before they even consider doing some type of Marvel Rivals spin-off. So yeah. Also, I do think that in the future, Marvel Rivals is gonna struggle with balancing just because of a lot of the cool features that, you know, Marvel Rivals has. So obviously each Marvel Rival, is that what it's called? So each rival in Marvel Rivals, like the different heroes and characters that you can play, they each have their own unique abilities, but when you pair certain characters up together, that can collectively buff them or some of them, and these are called team up abilities. And obviously playing, that sounds really cool. Like if you play a subset of heroes, you're able to get a team up ability that gives, you know, this character a new ability, or this character a certain passive, or allows this character to do this. You know, I think that's super cool. I just think that in the future it's probably going to be super duper hard to balance because people are going to figure out, you know, metas and stuff, and they're probably going to spam certain team up abilities because they're just that overpowered. And also the other thing is this thing called the seasonal damage boost. So basically each season a certain hero gets a damage boost. I don't know if this is specific specifically damage boost, but all I know is that in Season 0, Iron Fist got this season damage boost thing, which was like 25% more damage than normal. And when Marvel Rivals came out, you know, everyone was complaining about Iron Fist. I don't know if Iron Fist got nerfed as of Season 1, but I know that in Season 0, people were comparing him to the likes of certain historical beings because he was that broken. But then at the same time, people just learned how to play around him and realize, yo, Iron Fist is actually not that bad to play against. You just have to shoot him. I mean, Marvel Rival players, you know, obviously now are a lot more clear-headed and can see things more clearly than, you know, when the game came out, duh. But I still think we're still in that, you know, foggy, red-tinted, you know, type of headspace. Because obviously we're enjoying this game that we don't know a lot about. Like, we're still having Spider-Mans that are going to in flippin' 19. Apparently most of the top 5 most played, you know, heroes, champions, rivals in the game, 3 of those were strategists. If you don't know what a strategist is, that role is basically support. So we could potentially in the future have an issue with healing and DPS, or strategists being able to do both DPS and healing. That is possibly a conversation that I can see in the future, kind of similar to, you know, how people complain about supports in Overwatch. This next point is a little bit of a niche point, but it's kind of weird how there's some characters that can stun certain characters out of their ultimates and other characters that can't do the same for certain ultimates. Like the way they have stunning just generally work in the game, it's a bit confusing, but I say that as like an Overwatch player who you can almost sleep or stun, you know, almost every hero on every other hero that has like a type of stun out of their ultimate or out of using an ability. You know, CC is a huge thing in Overwatch, so that's a really niche point, so I'm not gonna like dive too much into that, but it's personally something that I've noticed. But yeah, overall, I think that Marvel Rivals is going to have a balancing issue in the future, all things considered that we know about the game. Now, do I want balancing to be an issue in the game? Of course not. In terms of a live service game, Marvel Rivals is pretty darn nice. Like, it's not super predatory like, you know, other live service games that we currently have. And like, damn, obviously, the game is fun. I hope that the fun factor is not just something that is like, okay, you know, 6 months down the line, people are going to stop playing because they don't find it fun anymore. A year down the line, you know, the developers can't balance, you know, certain heroes right, and this one is overpowered this season, and for some reason they buffed Hela, and now she can like 5-shot headshot a Venom or something. You know, just generally stuff like that. I can see it from a logical standpoint how these things can be issues, but at the same time, it's not something that I'm wishing to happen, as much as I may feel like, hey, I need this game, like go down the route of Overwatch so people can stop roasting Overwatch and see like, hey, it is really hard to balance these games. You know, I'm hoping the devs there, they can cook, and I hope the management there can cook, unlike Blizzard. But I think that's all I really have to say about Marvel Rivals overall. So if you have enjoyed this video, then please do leave a like. That'd be greatly appreciated if you do want to, of course. And also, if you can check out my other videos or past streams or whatever the case may be, then please do subscribe. That'd be greatly appreciated if you do want to, of course. YouTube channel, link in bio. I do have a Twitter, I do have an Instagram, I do have a global trans ratio of Mr. Beast over there on Twitter. And in order to do that, I'm gonna need more followers over there. And in order to get more followers over there, I'm gonna need more followers over here, so you know exactly what to do. What do you think about Marvel Rivals? Are you having fun? Are you not having fun? Have you played Marvel Rivals before? Do you plan to play Marvel Rivals? What's your rank on Marvel Rivals right now? Anything that you possibly have to say, you can tell me down in the comments below, and I'll probably acknowledge it. And you know what it is, guys. Peace.